2021, we could have some fun. Maybe we could run. I could be the one. Maybe you're the one.
Hello. My hair is massive, just ignore it. Hello, welcome to a new video. This is going to be a super fun reading vlog. I have done a buddy read this month with George at Bubble Tea Books, and we are reading A Study in Scarlet from Sherlock Holmes. From Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. It's the first Sherlock Holmes story. This is my edition. It's The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, so it's got A Study in Scarlet, it's got The Sign of Four, and then it's got some shorter adventures, I think. George has already read it. She has sent me her clips that I'm going to put in this video as well, so that we can sort of read along together. And I'm currently on page 20. So this copy is actually, I think, slowing me down. This copy has so many stories in that it's 2 columns per page, which I think is just kind of like, I don't know, slow me down because it seems like so massive, even though it's really not that long of a story. It's 63 pages like that, so I guess it would be like 120 pages, which is not a massive book. The BBC Sherlock is so similar to A Study in Scarlet at the beginning, in their first episode, A Study in Pink, that I think it's because I've like seen it before, I'm like not very quick, which is a bit annoying because I know that I want to read it, I want to know the real story. But I think it's just making my brain think about Sherlock and think about Martin Freeman, and therefore I get distracted. Welcome, let's get reading. Hopefully I will finish this. I'm going to set myself the target to finish this, A Study in Scarlet, by the weekend. So it's currently Friday, so I reckon I can do that if I actually, you know, put some effort in. I'm much better if I sort of create like a bit of a target each day to hit. So, oh maths. So it's about somewhere around 15 pages a day. So I'm gonna put that as my target and I'm gonna get it done, because I'm so interested. Like, I love the world of Sherlock. I think it's so interesting, and The Sign of Four I found so good, and it's so interesting seeing how one had the BBC version, which is like one of my all-time favourite shows, how they sort of take influence, as well as I noticed in The Sign of Four they used the names of characters that, well, obviously they didn't follow the Sign of Four plot, but they did, like they used the title A Sign of Three when John and Mary were pregnant, spoiler alert, which was really clever. And also they used names like Smallwood and things like that as other character names, which was just like a nice sort of nod to keep it connected with this world. So my target is to finish this by the end of the weekend, as in A Study in Scarlet. So welcome to A Study in Scarlet.
Hi everyone. So me and Ellen have decided to do a buddy read with this beautiful book, A Study in Scarlet, and she's asked me to kind of just like film at different stages of my reading. So I'm starting it tonight. I have like it with a collection of short stories, but I think I'm only going to read that one because my TBR is like so big this month. But I'm all ready, I've got my Udi on, ready to read this bad boy. It's only 100 pages, so I'm pretty sure I'll get it done by tomorrow. Yeah, very excited. I've watched the TV series, the Benedict Cumberbatch one, so I have an idea of the plot line, so I'm excited to see if it's the same, different, so yeah, keep you updated.
Seeing as I'm reading a Sherlock story, anything I notice I'm going to call my observations. Observation number 1. They've been living together for quite a few months in the series, obviously to make it a bit more interesting. They had them jump straight into the action. At arriving at the house at Lauriston Gardens in the first, like, I don't know, 10 minutes, the first officer they meet who's happy to see Sherlock is called Gregson, and the second is Lestrade. And in the series, who do we meet? Who is head of the Met Police? But Greg Lestrade, who, by the way, is one of my favourite characters in the entire thing. He's just brilliant. So that's funny. That's my first observation. Do you know what? So far, they haven't characterised Sherlock like... I'm not imagining him to be like Benedict's portrayal. However, the voice of Watson is very close to sort of this like slightly bumbly, angry John Watson, who Martin Freeman portrays amazingly. I wanted to actually look at how Holmes is described. We have a very intense description of his hand. No, we actually don't have a description of Sherlock's physical appearance in the beginning of the story, which I think is... I don't know if that's intriguing or not.
Hey everyone, I am on day 2 of the buddy read of this sexy book. I started reading it and 2 things pop out to me like instantly. One is just how funny Arthur Conan Doyle's writing is. Like, I'm not that far through. I think I'm about 30 to 40 pages through right now, and I've just been laughing all the time with the like quick wit that this book has, not only with like Sherlock's character but like loads of the supporting characters as well. So I've really been enjoying that, and also it's surprisingly similar to the TV show, and that should be phrased, the TV show is similar to the book, but so I am recognising a lot of the plot points and stuff like that, so I am looking forward to seeing if it differentiates at all with the overarching mystery, but we've kind of just got up to a little bit more about what Sherlock does as a job and things like that, and yeah, so I'm very excited to read a bit more of it now. But yes, very fun.
So I finished chapter 2. No, I finished chapter 3. So we've investigated the body at oh my gosh, why can't I say that word? Lauriston Gardens, right? We've finished examining the body at Lauriston Gardens, and I know I'm like comparing it to the series, but that's my knowledge of it so far, like this exact story, or this kind of story. So we have Rachel, basically Rach E and Noel on the end, and in the series we take that as being Rachel, but the word wasn't finished. Because Anderson's like, oh, she's German, it means revenge in German, and Sherlock Holmes, no, she's writing an angry phrase in German. Obviously she's spelling Rachel. This one, it's the opposite. So he goes on about like, we're going to find someone called Rachel, it's definitely Rachel, someone's written Rachel. And Sherlock ends this chapter by saying, Rach is German for revenge, so don't lose your time by looking for Miss Rachel. You do have that sort of like sassiness of, he like leaves the situation, he's like, oh, let me just tell you one thing that might help you with your investigation, and then like reels off a load of facts that they've clearly not got yet, which is very on brand. I'm really enjoying it. It is interesting having the narration straight from John, because obviously we have the blog element in Sherlock, BBC Sherlock, but then there's no narration because it's visual, but really enjoying it.
Hi, hello. As you can see, I am in a morning state of just that. I have 15 pages left and I have some thoughts. I really love the storyline of the investigation, but what I didn't realise was there's like 2 parts to it, and one part just goes on for 40 pages of this Mormon, it was like these Mormon people, and when I say it's like the most boring thing I've ever read in my life, it's really up there with one of the most boring things I've ever read in my life. I'm like, take me back to like Sherlock Watson, the investigation, like what's going on? Why have we just jumped to like I love a historical fiction, but it just didn't make a lot of sense to me of like why we've like all of a sudden jumped to America, Utah, like I don't know. So I just found it so odd. We finally got back to the investigation, and I've got 15 pages left, so I'm intrigued to see how this Mormon thing ties into it, but who knows. So yeah, the middle was not needed. This story can be a lot shorter, or I wish that they developed a little bit more on like the meat of the story, because I feel like they found the body, he looked, and then like he solved it. For sure the TV show like extends it a bit more, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the conclusion. 15 pages left, so I'll probably just lie back, read that, and you'll see me in like 20 minutes to review the end. But yeah,
so we're currently having a power cut and the house alarm is going off. I've just been reading, but I was just thinking, oh, I'll make a cup of tea and curl up because it's cold and keep reading. I can't even make a cup of tea. But the sun's out, which is nice, so I'm just kind of sitting here soaking up the rays whilst reading A Study in Scarlet. I am currently on chapter... I'm on chapter 6 at the moment, and I'm really into it now that I've sort of kept reading. I've finished part 1, so I'm about to start part 2, which is called The Country of the Saints. So we've just found out who did it. I don't know if like anyone's gonna read this, therefore I might just spoil it. But interestingly, end of episode 1, we know it's the cab driver that does it. Obviously this being like a modern day one with like a telephone and a cab. Obviously in this case it's like a carriage, like a horse and carriage. But it's cool seeing the parallels. We're now going to, I guess, find out how he did it. It's like a classic whodunit in that we like, as the reader, because John Watson's narrating, we don't know how it happened. We just know that Holmes knows it happened, and he obviously is then going to tell us and everyone else involved, like in his own time, because then he gets to show off. So this is where we are at the moment. Page 38 out of 63. So I'm not quite sure like how there's so much left. I guess there's like telling us what happened and then maybe an extra bit of plot that happens. Who knows? But we've arrested the cabbie. And I'm just remembering the really gross man from the episode that's like, no one suspects the cabbie.
Right, I got my bubble tea, I finished the book, I'm ready to discuss. So, the book, yeah, I finished it. I gave it 3.4, that's a guess. People might be like, that's low, because I really did enjoy all of the Sherlock bits, the Watson bits, you know, the whole investigation, like I said in the previous bit. But that Mormon bit just got to me, man. I understand that it was like setting up the villain, but the thing is, he died like 4 pages later, so I feel like, did we need all of that? No. For such a short book, and a book that's just about the investigation and like how, like the relationship between like Sherlock and Watson, especially because they're setting up that relationship ready for like the next few books. I thought that middle bit just was not needed. So, yeah. But I will not continue to talk about the middle bit, because I think people are going to be bored of that, and I don't want to talk about the negatives. But yeah, overall I did really like it. It was really funny. I liked the plot. It was super smart and witty and things like that, and I loved seeing them be like, the plot thickens. Like when that happened, I was like, oh my god. Yeah, I really like the writing style. and I think it was just like an easy book to read, really fast paced and fun. I did think the ending was a bit abrupt, but what you're gonna do, especially because I had the like hour and a half plot of the TV show version in my mind. So I was like, oh, this is gonna come to like a head-on-head, like Sherlock, is he gonna take the right pill? But no, that wasn't it at all. So I think that kind of like dampened the experience a bit, because I was waiting for that to happen and it never did. But kind of like putting that side of me out of that. Yeah, I thought it was really fun, really interesting. A lot of unanswered questions about like why he decided to do the 2 pills were there. But I'm sure that Ellen's going to say this a lot more eloquently than my STEM mind has managed to wrap around this book. But good read, looking forward to reading a little bit more of his works, especially more of like the Sherlock Holmes world. I do have the whole book, so I got things like Sign of 4 coming up and things like that, which I'll probably read like later down the year. But yeah, good introduction, really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Hello. I have just finished A Study in Scarlet. Okay, it was interesting. Like, I liked the story. I don't really know what to say. Like, it's a good story. It's interesting in narration. Obviously, it's from Watson's perspective, and at this point, he's still like remarkably like impressed by Sherlock Holmes. The story was good. Like, basically part 2 goes back and talks about like Mormonism, and basically explains the backstory for the crime that's been committed, like why these men have been murdered. That's what this little backstory is. But it's so boring, and because it just kind of comes out of the blue and you have physically no idea, I literally just skipped it till I got to the point where we were back with Dr. Watson as the narrator. So I'm gonna read that part, but like so boring, immediately so boring. Like, it starts with this sentence. In the central portion of the great North American continent there lies an arid and repulsive desert, which for many a long year served as a barrier against the advance of civilization. From the Sierra Nevada to Nebraska, and from the Yellowstone River in the north to the Colorado upon the south, is a region of desolation and silence. And they just talked about this man wandering through the desert with like a little girl, and it's just like, where has this come from? And I'm genuinely quite interested in how Conan Doyle managed to sort of get Sherlock Holmes popular with that in the middle. But I suppose at the time it was kind of interesting to hear about like another landscape that we wouldn't normally read about. So maybe that's why. I will read that part, but for the purpose of finishing the book, I just skipped it and went to the part where like the criminal tells Sherlock Holmes and the police what happened, and then obviously Sherlock explains to Watson how he knew that had happened. So yeah, I want to keep reading these because, I don't know, they just seem fun, and I think it'll be good to read them. But A Study in Scarlet was okay. I think it's just the sort of very formal language in which Watson talks and writes that it's not as exciting, but I do think I'm going to have to rewatch A Study in Scarlet. Like, they were very similar enough in plot that you could see whether they very much were inspired by A Study in Scarlet for the Study in Pink episode, but they obviously changed parts of the plot to make it fit with modern times and the story they wanted to tell long term. But yeah, finished A Study in Scarlet. It wasn't very long, like that's all it was, but obviously 2 columns per page, which I think makes me feel like I'm reading much slower, because actually each time you turn the page you would have read 4 pages. So, but very interesting. Hope you enjoyed this reading vlog. I really enjoyed doing a buddy read, despite the fact that actually George finished it before I even started properly, but that was fun anyway, and I really enjoyed seeing her like thoughts as she read through. So follow for more book content, or follow my Instagram and follow George's Instagram as well, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!